This lecture will discuss two of our special senses, smell and taste. As you have already learned, the cranial nerves are 12 pairs of nerves that branch directly off of the brain rather than off the spinal cord. Several of these nerves include specialized sensory receptors that give us our special senses, which are our sense of smell, vision, taste, hearing, and balance. These types of sensory information are different from our general sensory information, which encompasses things like touch, pain, and our sense of heat or cold. Cranial nerve 1, the olfactory nerve, is the nerve that transmits our sense of smell. When we look at the olfactory nerve, we can see that it is made of two parts: the olfactory tracts, which extend outward from the brain, and the olfactory bulbs, which are the swollen ends of the olfactory tracts. In a sagittal view, we can see that the olfactory bulb sits directly on top of the cribriform plate of the ethmoid, and is therefore positioned directly superior to the nasal cavity. In this closer image, we can see the olfactory bulb sitting on the cribriform plate of the ethmoid. The axons of special olfactory sensory neurons travel through the small holes in the cribriform plate to enter the nasal cavity. The cell bodies of these neurons are found in the olfactory epithelium, which is a layer of cells on the inner surface of the nasal cavity. When you inhale, air passes over the specialized sensory receptors of these cells. If the air contains odor molecules, they will stimulate these sensory cells and send a signal back to your brain that you interpret as smell. Different olfactory neurons are stimulated by specific odor chemicals. It is interesting to note that humans don't have a very good sense of smell compared to many other mammals. In this image, the olfactory bulbs of a human are highlighted in yellow. Compare that to the much larger olfactory bulbs of a dog outlined here in red. Now let's consider the special sense of taste. Our sense of taste is similar to our sense of smell in that specialized sensory neurons are stimulated by the presence of specific molecules, which our brain interprets as taste. In this case, these special sensory neurons are located on the tongue. When we look at the surface of the tongue, we can see that it's covered in small bumps or projections called papillae. A common misconception is that these bumps are taste buds. In fact, taste buds are much smaller sensory structures, typically located on the side of a papilla. If we look at an individual taste bud, we can see that it is formed by a cluster of specialized sensory cells called gustatory cells. Humans have about 1,000 taste buds, and we have 5 types of taste buds that can sense 5 flavors. These are sweet, salty, bitter, sour, and umami. If you're not familiar with the umami flavor, it is a rich, savory taste found in things like meat and aged cheese. The gustatory cells of our taste buds are stimulated by the specific molecules associated with each of these tastes, and will send that information back to our brain via 2 of the cranial nerves. The cranial nerves that transmit our sense of taste are cranial nerves 7 and 9. Cranial nerve 9, the glossopharyngeal nerve, transmits taste from our posterior tongue, while cranial nerve 7, the facial nerve, transmits taste from our anterior tongue. The reason that our sense of taste is split between 2 different nerves is that our tongue originally develops in 2 parts, a front and a back, each with their own nerve, and these 2 parts eventually fuse together.